You ready, Greg?
Let's go, Jay.
You're listening to The Success Paradigm with your hosts, Jay Atkins and Greg Gray.
All right, here we are again on the Success Paradigm. So, Greg Gray, Jay Atkins, and our guest today is Leon Brady the second. Is that the best way to say that, Leon? Okay,
The
very
second.
good.
That's
Leon Brady.
that's what my father would prefer. So
That very good. Let's do what Dad wants. So, I'm going to read your bio here. It's a very impressive bio, Leon, and then I'm going to take a little exit ramp and tell folks what I know about you and how you and I cross paths and why we really invited you here. So, Leon Brady is a St. Louis native, grew up in rough and humble beginnings. With a passion to learn business and with examples of active men in his family, Leon started his own lawn care business at the age of 10 years old. Jay, we've had a bunch of people on here that started lawn care businesses like when they were, I should have done that. I'd be a little further along, I think, in life. So as a young boy, he always had the knack for business. At a very young age, he drafted his first contract with his grandfather for funding to buy his first lawnmower. He was taught that a man always works for what he wants. After high school, Leon went on to try college, but would end up joining the United States Army at the age of 21. While in the Army, Leon would continue his business ventures, get this, creating an AC unit business for soldiers living in the barracks with no AC, always looking for opportunities. While establishing relationships that would further help his businesses grow, he knew that he wanted to be a businessman and that he would also be a leader. After getting out of the Army at age 25, Leon went on to start Global Renovations LLC in Texas, which now has over 28 employees. In 2018, Leon would also go on to obtain his real estate license, where he excelled with high sales volume. In addition, within the last 6 months, Leon went further, creating Global Transportations. Global is part of this thing, I think. I'm picking up a theme here.
Right.
Yes,
Gotcha.
Global Transportations, which now has 2 semi-trucks and a 26-foot box truck. And I would add so far to that because he is still growing that business. Leon has just begun, and with his perseverance, he will continue to grow and be an example for those around him. He knows that it's the process, and it's the process that he loves, and it's the process what makes him successful in all his endeavors. So that's the formal Leon Brady II.
Yep.
The reason you and I crossed paths months and months ago, probably almost a year ago now.
Yeah, it's coming up.
And did not anticipate it. One of my employees actually had been engaging you, I think, in terms of real estate, and she was looking for a home. And so, Jay, we're talking, and all of a sudden, my employee tells me about this guy that's helping her find a home, and then he's doing live Facebook broadcasts every week to people in the business to help them understand how to be more successful in the business, how to be more professional. And Leon's a young guy. So one of the reasons we also wanted to have you on, and we've done this a couple of times, is, you don't have to wait to be 50 to be successful. And we wanted to have younger voices and younger entrepreneurs on here as well. I only knew about the real estate part of it. I had no idea about the global renovations, and I just found out recently about the basically the courier shipping company that you're building as well. And how old are you, Leon?
Just turned 28. Oh, 29. I'm sorry. 29.
Just turned 29.
29.
And so you have a lot of oars in the water and clearly have been really successful. And so it's just a joy to have you on the podcast,
I
because
appreciate it.
I'm thinking there are a lot of people are going to learn how they could really come out of the gate early with process and be successful. So with that, we normally do a little lead in. So Jay, I'm going to give you the baton there and kind of set this up for Leon and for our guests that are watching.
And the reason Greg invited you on here is because, it's a success paradigm, and we like to really understand from everybody how they've gotten to and how they're going to get to the success level that they want. And, everyone always ends up seeing the glory in the end, Leon. Everyone always ends up seeing everything that you've done to have the success that you are going to have. And you're only 29 years old, which is awesome to have you on here and get into the mind of such a young man that it has such high aspirations in life. And I,
Thank you.
I, um, I want to hear more about your story though that got you here. More about the lawn care, more about the failures, what you're going through right now currently, and how you're overcoming some of the obstacles that are in your way right now. Because you know what you're doing and what you're trying to overcome is not easy, and I'm sure there's a daily stress and a daily anxiety that you deal with. And I'd like to hear about that, but I'd like to go back and kind of hear from you. Where did this all come from?
What I would say is, um, first thing first, attention to detail and prayer, because starting out, it wasn't a lot of people being successful where I came from. So at that point, it wasn't a lot of people giving me a lot of the information that I was hunting for. So when you're young and you got high aspirations as far as getting to where you want to get to, or seeing somebody that's actually there, because I think that was my main thing. I was seeing people that was actually making it happen, but they didn't give me the blueprints for it. But now that I'm older, I was getting the blueprints from my family, and so it was the key things in life, the morals in life, and everything that you have to do and learn as a man, and you apply those to business. Once you apply those morals and that belief and that faith in business, then I would say that anything anything is definitely possible. And so myself growing up, being pretty young, my mama tell, I'm pretty sure she's listening right now, but I think I was probably 4 years old, and my aunt was living with my mom, and so it was always something in me as far as being a salesman. And so I think that was my first time selling something, but he was there, and he came in, and he was sitting there. There was no magazines, no TV, anything like that. And my mom had an old briefcase downstairs. And so me knowing like, hey, I want to try to make some money, I took that briefcase and put some magazines in there, and took it upstairs and tried to sell those magazines. and told, but told him like, hey, what you doing? He said, I'm just sitting here. I said, you need something to do. And so that right there, those key things as far as being a salesman and just having that aspiration, that willpower to actually make something happen. That right there was a starting point to where I am now. And so, man, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. But small things like that, going into the lawn care business of everything. I didn't have the money for a lawnmower. My mom was paying somebody to cut the grass, and so my grandfather, he would come cut the grass sometimes. And I was thinking about it, like, man, I'm seeing people cutting grass across the street, down the street. Okay, cool. I know my grandpa, he got a little bit of money, so let me go ahead and draw this contract up. It was a small contract. My grandpa still has that contract, man. Greg, I'm about to send that to you. It'll blow your mind.
How
But look,
old how old were you with this contract?
I was 10.
Wow.
It
Okay.
was 10. It was drawn up, printed out. It stated everything that needed to be stated. Basically, just telling my grandpa or asking my grandfather, "This is my business plan. I give you this amount of money back over a certain amount of time." At 10, and so I mean, from there he signed it. I signed it, and I got that lawnmower going. And then from there, um, in St. Louis, where I'm from, it's a lot of snow and everything like that. So from cutting grass and shoveling the snow, I ended up buying my first car at the age of 14. I didn't have a permit or anything. And so my mom was pretty upset about that. She's gonna comment, I promise, man. She's gonna comment on it, man. She's gonna be like, yeah, he's not lying, but saved up, bought my first car, didn't ask anybody for anything, just the initiative of ownership. And so, Greg, I'm pretty sure you on the show, I say it all the time, there's no ownership like working for the ownership. Because if you're giving something, then you don't take pride in it. And so I think that just continued throughout the years. And And
So
sometimes huh?
no, I was just going to say. So along this, so did the contract with your grandfather. He kind
Yes.
of knows you, so I'm sure if he is like a lot of grandfathers, like my grandfather and dad was, he didn't go easy on you. So
Oh no,
it had to be a
no.
real contract, and you had to keep your word. But
Yep.
that's in the family. So as Leon gets older, and this young guy is kind of raising his hand and you know making a point that you have this kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, uh, and kind of looping back to what Jay was saying. Tell us and tell the folks listening about maybe the first time that you looked up and there was a brick wall in front of you. Like, holy cow! How did this happen? Because you were up into a point, and then reality hit you. Because every time you get to another level, there's another devil. So tell us about a major hurdle or wall that you had to get over or go through.
Uh, are you referring to in the past or now?
Well, yes, we'll start in the past, but I'm guessing there's probably been a few of them as well. So, like, I guess high school age on, like when you started kind of getting out on your own a little bit.
Yeah, the one of the biggest hurdles I would think was to actually separate myself and know exactly what I want to do. And then also, as far as being younger, it was even with a small business, it's things is going to happen with that. Even with that little lawnmower, is it was spark plugs going out, gas, other things like that that I was not thinking about. I was getting the money and I was saving it for a certain thing, but wasn't putting money back into the company as much as I should have. And then moving forward, as far as any other business, I think that the biggest thing was not the relationship, but the people that I was dealing with,
Okay.
relationship wise. A lot of people don't have your best interests, and so if you don't distinguish those people as soon as possible, then you're definitely going to keep falling. You got to keep positive relationships.
Well, you're younger, so these relationships may not be as far in your rearview mirror as they might be for me or Jay. So
Oh no, no, no,
I don't
no.
want to put you, we don't want to put you on Front Street. They may be watching the podcast as well. But what I'm taking from that is, when you're from humble beginnings, and you hear this with athletes, for example, that um, came from places that did not have a lot of glitz and glamour. It was a grind. Uh,
Oh
that
yeah,
when they
oh
start
yeah.
moving to the next level, some of that wants to follow you, and some of it doesn't need to follow you. Some of those folks probably are not the best people to keep in your circle because they're not really pushing you. They're kind of riding your coattails. So when you've had to, without names, when you've had to make a decision about changing your circle, how did you? I'm assuming you've had to do that. One,
Yes,
how did you
yes.
do it in a way that kept you moving forward and that you grew from? Because
Having that kind of,
a lot of people have to do that. They have to change their circle, but they don't know how.
yeah, especially being from St. Louis, man. It's a dog eat dog world out there, and so people expect coming up from that place that surrounds that environment. They expect you to be something.
Mhm.
And so once you develop that in your brain that you're not going to be that, people will have that perspective of, okay, you changed, or you're not the
Mm.
same person that we know, or you're too good now, and everything like that. But that, it comes with it. But at the end of the day, you talk to them, let them know what's going on, then you separate yourself. And that was one of the reasons why the military is a part of my journey,
Okay.
separating myself and getting out of that situation, because you can do nine good things for somebody and then say no one time, and then you're the worst person in the world. And some people don't have that much empathy for you for saying no. And so sometimes it's best to separate yourself, of course having an understanding, and then separating yourself and then bettering yourself. Just keep moving forward. And
Okay.
so people have to respect that moving forward, because life is life and time is the most beautiful thing that we have in God. And so I don't take anything for granted. I got a lot of friends that's not here. Or still got friends that's rooting for me, and I got friends that we don't talk anymore. They say, "Hey, no, he changed up. He's different now." But I mean, at the end of the day, we're here right now, and we're saying,
Yeah.
and we're sitting here talking.
When you say, I'm a big proponent of being very, very careful with who you surround yourself with and who you spend time with, who you
Mhm.
to. Um, when you say that your friends that aren't around anymore because you've changed, what do you mean by that? How have you changed that has alienated out of your life?
I changed. I changed mentally. Mentally, I mean, I would say that any person that doesn't change, you're not growing. If your brain, because I was talking to my grandfather not too long ago. It's 86 billion neutrons in the brain. Depending on that person, how many neutrons are firing to keep moving forward. If you steady sitting on, just like a car, if you're driving a Camaro with 8 cylinders, if you're firing 4 cylinders, you can't race against a car that got 8. And so it was saying that, um, man,
So,
it's
so
a lot, man.
yeah.
We can keep
So,
going out.
so what you're saying is, what I'm trying to pull out of you here is because I think it's really, really important for success. Is a lot of times people that you alienate or people that don't want to be in your life anymore, you actually, because of your success, make them feel bad about themselves. And if they hang out with you, then they have to do more, or not. If not, and so those people that are just sitting there, not using all their neutrons, firing on, you know, all the success that they can have. Of course, you make them feel bad about themselves. So that's why you're saying these people don't want to hang out with Leon Brady anymore because you guys don't think the same. And
That's
that's
true.
that's
That's true.
something that comes out with success, right? Because only a small percentage of people are really ever successful, and the top is lonely. When you're on the top and you're trying to excel, you have to be prepared for that. That some of your friends that were your boys might not be your boys anymore because they think you're different, and you're not different. You've just grown.
That's true. And then also, even the common conversation. When I talk to my friends back home or somebody that I'm still close with, I'd be like, "Hey, what's going on? What's new?" The energy is there. I mean, a lot of people will say, nothing, just chilling." That's the last thing I would ever want to hear on my phone is nothing or anything like that. We're on the phone and we're talking, we're conversing. Let's keep that positive energy and let's feed each other because you don't have to feed each other just off of food or money, anything like that. The energy is one of the most important things every day of my life and some of my business partners now. Like even with Freedom Johnson, Jeff,
Mhm.
uh, Alexander. Well, we feed each other every day. Now it's waking up. Okay, I got up at 6. Now I got up at 5. So you're late. You're late.
So
What you doing?
let me ask you a question. When that person says that to you, right? I'm just chilling, nothing.
Mm.
How do you handle that conversation? Lift them up to pull them out of that. Are you frank with them and say, that this is you're not going to get anywhere in life? Are you that person, or do you just kind of run away from it? How do you handle that?
No, I mean I address it. Like I was just home from my grandfather's passing, and so I was talking to a bunch of people, and I'm asking them the same question. And so when they was telling me that, we had talked, and I sent them a book. And then I don't want to promote any book, but I got a book right here, and
That's okay.
You can promote book.
again, this is the way of a superior man. And so I sent that book about 24 times back home to St. Louis because you got to read, you got to fire them neutrons, you got to get them things working. The brain is a muscle. And so I don't try to bring anybody down. It's just about giving them that information. They might not have had that information, or might people are different. I got family members that I love that's cool with working a job or complacent or anything like that. But I'm still giving the opportunity, like, hey, check this thing out. It's not about bringing anybody down or breaking myself up. It's about meeting at a neutral ground. If I got any type of knowledge or any type of thing to give to you, any type of energy, I'm gonna give it off to you, and then it's up to you to take that energy and do what you want to do with it.
Well, I can tell you, I think I can count on one hand the number of 29-year-olds that have sent 24 people a book to read. Um, that would make you that would put you in a pretty small group of people, I think. But I think the
It's important.
what I take from that though is that you want to, to kind of follow along with what Jay was asking. You want to be able to give people the tools to uplift themselves and to broaden their perspectives. But what they do with it is really up to them. I mean, you can send them a
Yeah,
book, but you can't read it for them.
that's
Um,
true. That's true.
so I have a question for you, Leon, because
Mm.
I'm listening to, from lawn care to renovations to real estate and now to, global transportation. Um, I was going to say where, but I should say along that line, have you found yourself going, okay, dude, you might need to pull up a little bit here. You just got the rest of this together where there's something that made you hesitate before you took the next step? Or are you really more that guy that just says you're always looking for what's next?
Uh, I won't say that I'm always looking kind of a little bit, but what I do is, and what I have, I'd rather say, what I have is a team.
Okay.
And so right now, with the trucks are on the road. I don't have to be worried about that. I got a partner that's taking care of it. With the renovation company, I got my assistant, and I also have another assistant with the realty. So it's not just me. Um, I'm always looking to have more time. Not saying I'm not scared to put the work in. I'm continuously doing that. But as far as growth and progression, putting a team together, having people in place so I can still have that time to monitor everything and then still progress and still sell homes, or with different agents, setting the agents up so they can be out showing houses or sending them leads, making sure they know what to do, how to write the contracts, negotiating power, dealing with escrow agents, all of that good stuff. They're still getting all the information they need. So I'm not just stuck anywhere because it's a team. It's not just me. My success did not just come. The initial of who I am, yes, but my team, it's the team.
Okay. So I'm going to throw you a curveball here. And my guess is and one of the things Jay, and I'm not sure that you saw this or not, but this is one of the cool things about this podcast when we, put it on Facebook and I shared it out and I tagged Leon, and, saying Leon Brady is on decks next. His friends started sharing this like crazy. I mean, they're commenting on it. So I know a lot of eyes, a lot of people are looking at you right now, watching this, and that's exciting. Um, but for the people who don't know you, 29-year-old Leon Brady, four businesses. I'm losing track. I keep throwing in the lawn care.
It's
I
30.
still visualize you
Longer.
going out and cutting grass.
But my renovation company does. So
See, there you go. There you go. Um, in the middle of all of this that you're doing, even with the team, what keeps you up at night?
ooh, what keeps me up at night? Uh, man, that's a good question. What keeps me up at night? It's a couple things.
Okay.
I would say that I say more research. I'm always doing like my girlfriend, she'll tell you I'm up doing research. So it's already done. Now I'm steady doing research, steady looking for new contracts, government contracts, being a veteran with a trucking company, um, other contracts, government contracts with a renovation company. I would think what's keeping me up is more knowledge. I feel like I don't have enough sometimes, and so I'm steady reading. Like I think I'm addicted to books at this point, and so I'm addicted. So that's what keeps me up at night. Uh,
That
my
you that
family.
that you feel like there's just more to know, and that okay, all right. So you were about to say something else too.
Yeah, yeah, about my family. Steady thinking about them, how I can change their lives, I can put them in a situation where they can invest and get out of the hustle and bustle of the 9 to 5. Especially my mom, father, sister, my brothers. I got a little nephew that comes over, uh, and he's learning percentages, learning contracts. He's only 5 years old, and so I think that's what keeps me up at night is that I got a job to do, and my family's still working, and I still got to keep working.
So, Leon, I like what you're saying, and I'm going to dig a little bit before I get to my question because what I think Greg means by what keeps you up at night is what is stressing you the hell out right now in your that that, that makes you lose sleep. Not because I'm with you on the knowledge thing. I mean,
Look, we
you
go.
can
I'm sorry.
never ever ever have enough knowledge ever. That's my true belief. I read incessantly, and I always feel like I wish I could read more. So I agree with you there. But what right now in this stage of your life keeps you up at night because it's stressing you out and anxiety and not what you want to accomplish?
I got you with the business,
Yeah, right.
the trucks,
Yeah.
the truck. The trucks. If you guys knew the documentation that's around this laptop right now, it'll blow your mind. And that's what's going on the laptop right now. This load's coming in. I got to wait on him to come. He gonna check them out. Then I got to talk to the dispatch, see exactly what's going on because I know a couple loads went down, but we got the other truck going out of state. So a lot of stuff not went down, but it's like a what is it? Like a 10% decrease. So we got to look for another alternate route for a certain truck, then a box. It's a lot of stuff. Not just that, even with the renovation company, man. As far as
Right. So,
management, man, I had to let 3 people go within the last 2 weeks.
right. And
Last 2 weeks.
success is, pressure, and pressure is a privilege, right? So
Mhm.
how, if people are listening, because everyone goes through this, right? I wake up with anxiety every single day of my life because I got a lot
Yeah.
going on, right? How do you sleep at night? How do you overcome it? What do you go through? You just lost 3 people. You got this truck coming in. Like, what do you do? Because obviously, successful people are really, really good at managing all of that, right? Because if you can't see the forest for the trees, then you're not going to be able to build the next business and grow. And you're that guy, right? I can tell you, like, you're always thinking about the next business, but you also got to make sure of this business. So, how do you overcome those things to be able to keep the business going and overcome that anxiety?
Just try your best to stay 2 steps ahead with each company. Like even with the renovation company, man, I try to keep at least 5 or 6 people ready on standby, trucking, keeping at least a couple drivers, part-time drivers or something on standby. With with the real estate company, as far as selling houses, having agents on standby. If I can show a house and I got to go run down to International to pick up a part or something, or I got somebody, I mean, just staying ahead, trying your best to stay ahead at least. I mean, you're not gonna be able to do it all the time. Stuff is gonna happen, but I mean, as a leader, I mean, you gotta keep that composure. I would never let too many people see me where I'm stressing out. Because when I start stressing out, if the head weak, then the body weak, and I can't let that happen. I put too much time into it.
So there we talk a lot. In fact, in our companies, Jay and I, we've talked a lot about the importance of having a good bench, because I think a lot
Mhm.
of it is not unusual for entrepreneurs to think purely along the lines of a spreadsheet and say, okay, so I have this many employees. This is how many I can afford. I don't need to be
Mhm.
looking for anybody, because it always seems that when you get to that point, somebody moves out of state, somebody gets another
Mhm.
job, and all of a sudden, without a bench, you find yourself kind of playing shorthanded. So I can really appreciate that. So here's I want I'm gearing a lot of my questions for you, Leon. From the vantage point, because you've accomplished a great deal and clearly there's a lot you want to accomplish and it's very impressive. um, I'm wondering whether this 29-year-old guy, Leon Brady II. So I see this on a contract. I know that he has this renovation company, and I know he has this trunking company. And I'm just wondering, have you been in a situation where, with everything that you have built, and then you find yourself in the room and somebody sees you and they're like, you must be Leon Brady the third. Where is Leon Brady the second? Like the guy that actually owns this. Like, have you been in scenarios where people kind of did a double take when they knew you were actually the guy and not the guy representing the guy? And how'd you handle that?
I mean, that happens majority of the time. Especially the majority of my contractors are older than me. They have families, and my drivers are older than me. I'm one of the youngest realtors in our team. It comes with it. I mean, I would say that age is really just a number as far as your knowledge on the business. Because I would say that a guy that influenced me to start my renovation company was younger than me. He was 19 years old, young guy, 19 years old. Now was in college, and I was like, man, what you doing? He's like, man, I'm just here, man. But I ain't going back after this semester, man. My renovation company moved. I'm like, bro, you need to teach me something. So I know, I mean, I never looked at age like that. But I mean, you definitely got some people that be like, so you're the guy? I mean, yeah, I'm the guy. That's me. And so we talk down and we sit down and we talk. And I explain what's going on, go over the mission statement for the company, and make sure they understand the mission statement, and let them know, like, hey, this is my company, but we are a team. And so we got to work together to get to that common goal, to get to the championship. So if you're gonna look at me like I'm a child, then you already count the game out. And so
So that conversation and the way you put forth who you are and what the business is tends to, if there is an issue like that, it calms it down and overcomes it most time, you think?
yeah, I mean it has to. It has to, because you can't put age on ownership. I done sold houses to 21-year-olds, and I done rented houses to 44-year-olds. So at the end of the day, it's about that person and what their morals are and what the goal is. If you're coming over to this company, this person might be younger. People get that all the time, even with regular jobs. I had a job working at UPS as a operation freight supervisor, and I was also the youngest one up there. Everybody else was not the drivers, but the forklift drivers and everything was younger. But I think anybody that respect the position, and we was taught that in the military, you don't have to respect the person, you respect the rank of that person. And so going in there and respecting the rank of that person, you can move forward faster in that company because you're not taking it personal. You're going in there for a job. You're not going there to criticize anybody or try to label somebody. You're going in there for a specific job. And so anybody that will to even try some stuff like that, I definitely let them know, like, it's not gonna happen. I mean, it can't happen at this point. You know what I'm saying? We got to work together. And at
Because
the
you
end of
can
the day,
choose to what you can choose to walk away from it if it doesn't work for you. It's
oh yeah,
okay.
of course. And then I cut the checks. And so we cutting the checks. We all working together to get it.
So, Leon, um, tell me a huge mistake or a huge failure that you made that actually turned into a massive success because you took it and learned a lot from it.
Um, Recently, I think the biggest one was, and Mr. Gray, I think you've seen it when I was in the process of building an apartment complex,
Hmm.
that 28 unit, and then with COVID hit. So we didn't have our ducks all the way in a row set up for COVID to hit. And then I lost a substantial amount of money, like probably like 50 to 60, 50 to 60,000. And so after taking that hit, going back and then going into the tax deeds, something that's more safe, because the new construction was my first time. I never built a house before, but then tried to jump to an apartment complex. And so I think that I was just moving too fast. I was just moving way too fast, and so losing that money, but then bouncing back from that, uh, going 30,000 into the tax deeds, where me and my partner Freedom are looking at 300 something, 400,000, so around that part, getting that money back plus more, and so I believe that everything is pretty much meant to be from there.
So when you say ducks in a row, like I'm gonna push on you, Leon, because I
Go
want.
ahead, go ahead.
When you say ducks in a row, what exactly specifically do you mean? And then what I want you to specifically talk about is what are you going to do next time? I know you switch gears and you're doing something different, but what did you learn from that experience? What ducks do you need to have in a row? And then what will you do to better next time?
What I would say is not move so fast. What I was doing was looking at the end game. I wasn't looking at everything in the middle. I seen the start and the finish. I seen, how can I put this? I seen home base to home base. I didn't think about first, second, and third base. And so I was like, man, home run, 800,000, man, let's get it. We can make that happen. But everything was going good until you just never know in real estate what can happen. And so when I say ducks in a row, I went back to the drawing board and went to a more safe investment. Because tax deeds, you can invest 30,000. Say for example, you have 30,000, and then the homeowner gets a 6 month redemption period. So even if they get that house back, we still get 25. We get our money back plus 25%. Compared to trying to build an apartment complex where everything was just up. So now I'm not putting everything up. Now I got safer investments on my dollar, and then plus it's a lot better than having money just sitting in the bank.
So do you think you would ever go back to an apartment complex and build that?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I'm definitely gonna go back, but I'm gonna go back with a lot more knowledge because I learned a lot from that as well. From that was one of the biggest hurdles that I've had to jump over, but I learned a lot. I learned a bunch because I'm already a general contractor, but as far as the building process, it's a lot different from drawing down to do certain parts on the property. When you're talking about building a property, an apartment complex, it's a lot different, going back and forth with the city and everything like that. But I mean, I learned a lot. I lost a little bit, but money, money come, money go. It's the knowledge, the knowledge that you get from it.
Well, I mean, I would challenge you to say that that $50,000 that you lost was probably a PhD in building an apartment in real estate, right? You just paid for an education, and I mean that's probably a better education than a PhD from college. That's the real world, and when you pay that kind of money and lose that kind of money, it hurts you a little bit. So now you're going to pay attention next time. And like you said, I mean, everything you learn from that, man, you're that 50,000 loss is going to turn into 5 million gain.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to the college degree, I mean, nothing against the college degree because I tried college out, but it's nothing like in-field experience. That in-field experience, because I know a couple people that got degrees, and that 50,000, it was lost. I don't look at it as a loss. I look at it as a huge learning experience. It was a big thing. Not saying it is not, but
It
at
was
the same
tuition.
time,
It was like tuition for the
it was
next
like
step.
definitely, yeah, definitely. But that in-field experience that I have, I would never make that mistake again. Where somebody that got a degree or just got the boost, you going in, you gotta have that field experience as well.
And
That's like,
you just said something that I think people need to pick up on, and that is most people don't have that attitude and that conviction that you just had. I'm never going to make that mistake again. I think
mm,
that is the number one key to success is having that mentality when you make a mistake, saying, meaning, and completing the fact that it will never ever happen to me again. So
mm.
it was worth the $50,000. You can sleep at night, even though Greg tried to take some sleep away from you earlier, even losing that $50,000.
Yeah, it took a minute. I ain't gonna say that it was easy. It took a lot of convincing for myself.
Well, so what is awesome about that, and probably as awesome, probably is frightening for a lot of folks, because we are kind of gallantly talking about 50,000. I lost 50,000 on that, and uh, I would dare say a very large part of the population, including people possibly that are watching, are like, "You lost what?
But that's that,
50,000." I mean, and that's so, was talking about earlier what keeps you up at night, and piggybacking on what Jay said, and one of the things that I think is a huge takeaway is that that could make you fearful of doing anything again, not just doing it differently, but it's like, I touched the stove, I got burned, I'm not getting anywhere near that stove. But your process, and I'm going to focus on the word process because it showed up in your bio a couple of times. What you did, it sounded like, was okay, so I, I went from home base and then walked around home base and touched home base again, kind of
yeah,
forgot
that's
about first, second, and third base. But
yeah.
you reverse engineered through your mistake. So you saw it and you stepped back and went, okay, so the reason this happened was, and then you went and saw what third base, and then okay, so then I would get, so it's almost like it is a learning experience. And nothing teaches you quite as fast as losing money.
Yeah,
Losing
for
money
sure.
will focus the mind on a learning experience like few other things will. But you talk a lot about process. I've heard you talk about this a few times about the team, because you can have a lot of people, but if you don't have a lot of people and blueprints on the floor to make sure it executes. We're Facebook friends, and I enjoyed seeing you, out on a jet ski, just
Exactly.
chilling with the girlfriend out at the beach and everything. I was like, this cat has like 4 businesses, and and I think your post was almost like about that. It's like, I still get away. This is important to me.
The process,
So,
yes.
so where did you pick up that part of your DNA that says, I need footprints on the dance floor? Because I think the quote from the introduction was not only that you have a process, but you love the process. A lot of people love the outcome, but they don't love the process. Mike Tyson used to say the reason he was so successful is that everybody else liked to fight, he liked to train.
Hmm.
So talk to us about how you how that became a part of the way you approach things, and why it became the way you approach things, that whole process mindset.
I mean, I would say the how is for me doing it myself,
Okay.
and so setting up the blueprint. Because I think when I met you, I was getting the blueprints together.
Hmm.
And so after getting the blueprints together, okay, cool. So you need to know this to do this to do this to do this, and then this to get to this point, to get to that closing table, or to get that property back on the market, or to get this truck on the road. And so once I got that down, if I was able to train somebody to do it, and in the beginning, it was hard. It was hard because I didn't have the patience.
Mm.
I didn't have. I mean, I thought I did. I was like, I'm a patient guy, but it wasn't like that at first. I was like, man, this is something else. But like anything that my mom always told me, stay consistent. What is it? She always told me, grind now, play greater later. And so from that point, now implementing that process has become one of the biggest things that even me and Jeff do with GID Realty, implementing the process. So now it's to the point where we got agents coming in, and then they got the footprints. All you gotta do is walk it, and then have that go getter instinct, that killer instinct. Because a lot of people come in here, and a lot of people don't have that killer instinct, but want the best outcome. But you got to be able to be a good leader is learn the process and then implement the process, then teach the process. That's what I would say. And then what was the second question? What would you say? How? And then what else?
No, I think you got to it. because the I think the first part of it is, how did you figure out, how do you determine what a process is? And I think you answered that by saying
You gotta
you
do it
kind of
yourself.
put yourself in the laboratory, basically,
Mhm.
test it, test it, test it, test it, and then draw it out, so that if you're bringing on a new realtor or a new driver or somebody in the renovations company, it's not something you have to think about. You can basically just say, here, this is how you do this. Um, but you did mention the mindset part of it, too, because we know all of us are entrepreneurs. A lot of people who are watching this are entrepreneurs. You can have a great blueprint, but if you don't have somebody with the right mindset plugging into it, um, then the blueprint doesn't really take off the way it can. You can't, a blueprint can't give someone a mindset.
Mhm.
So um, when you, this is kind of actually pivoting to something that we talk about in all the podcasts. If there was one thing that Leon Brady II knows now about process, that Leon Brady II could tell 18-year-old Leon Brady II, if you were able to get in a time machine and go back and talk to your 18 or 19-year-old self, what would be the most important lesson you would tell 18 or 19-year-old Leon?
Man, it'd be a lot to sum it up. I would say, uh, believe, keep believing, pray, and save. Keep believing, pray, and save. that's the that's the best. That's the best thing, man. For real. I mean, because you got the process, but the process is like this. But you're trying to go straight, but it's so much stuff that be coming along the process. So I would say just believe in it, keep going straight, believe and save. Just save as much money and keep believing and keep praying. Because with that you can get past anything. Because with life, I done had so much stuff planned that I wanted to do, and stuff happens and it alters the plan, or it might kind of alter the process. Then I got to try to get it back on to what the original process was, what the original plan was. But a lot of people get thrown off from that based off of life. But if you mentally strong enough and you just stay focused, because a lot of people, you'll get discouraged by a lot of people. I got discouraged by a lot of people from my process. And then my background, who I am. It's a lot of stuff that's gonna come. But if you stay focused on that, keep saving and keep praying, you can get past anything, especially with family, a strong family that believe in you. And a strong circle. You don't need a bunch of people. You don't need 30 or 40 people. You just need a few people that believe in you, that you believe in yourself. You just keep moving, stay on that process, stay going straight.
So Leon, you're 29 years old, and we keep saying that because you're so young. And I remember 20 years ago when I was 29 years old. Uh, and you know, I'm a big believer in mentors and coaches, and I always give the analogy that the best of the best professional athletes, actors, musicians, they always have a coach. They always have someone on the outside looking in, saying, "This is where you need to tweak your game." And when you speak of these people that are in your life
Mhm.
right now, currently, who is someone that is a mentor and a coach looking from an outside perspective on Leon and saying, Leon, I think you need to make these moves to take your game to the next level? Like, who do you trust, and what have they taught you, or what are they teaching you right now?
uh, I think that's one thing that I'm kind of lacking. I don't have a lot of mentors. Greg Gray would be a great mentor for me. Um, Jeff, he's a mentor. He's been a realtor a lot longer than myself. He's steady teaching me things. Um, I would say one of my father, I think my family, because they looking at me like, man, I wish I'd have got to that point. And so their advice is a lot more authentic as well. Cause they're like, hey, you made it to this. This is amazing. They're looking at it like, okay, that seems like that might not be a good idea, but we're not gonna trust you. Don't trust our judgment, but we're gonna throw this out here so you can check it out. But I would think that I need more. I need more mentors. But other than that, I would say my grandfather. He's a very smart man, very smart man, very wise man. And as far as business, he didn't have businesses before. He's been successful. He's went through things. And if I got any type of questions or anything like that, he's definitely open to talking about it and coaching me through a few things. But what I do, lately I've been just doing my own research on things. So that's one thing that I can improve on myself. That's what I would say.
So tell me, what's one thing that any of those that you just mentioned taught you that you would like to share with our audience that's
Uh,
been transformational for you?
um, I refer back to my grandfather, more information, because anytime I'm about to open up a new company or trying to expand, he'd be like, okay, how you gonna do it? What's the plan behind it? You know what I'm saying? So I would say my grandfather, man,
Always just
the
have him
knowledge.
ask questions and go get information before you make moves.
Yeah, it's coming fast. It's coming quick. If I mention anything, what you know about it? You say, I mean, you know about this to this point, but you talking about growing, what you know about that? Where you plan on going? How you plan on doing it? What's the blueprint? What's the process? It always goes back.
Does that frustrate you a little bit when he goes down that road and you're all excited about something? He's like, okay, that's cool, but what's the plan?
Nah, I've been doing this my whole life. He made me write a contract. Well, he didn't make me, but I had to come up with that. I mean, it's the same. It's the same principle, same concept, just a little bit more money and a lot more at stake. And so, it's just being more knowledgeable. I mean, just keep going.
So if your grandfather was sitting in front of you right now, Leon, and he said,
Mhm.
Leon, right now, today, in this moment, tell me what your definition of success is.
My definition of success is the freedom of my family, changing the family tree. We all can move freely. We all can move freely. My mom happy, my sister, my immediate family. Everything that I done did, or still doing, or still trying to do is all for my family. And I think that's my gas. That's my gas right there.
That's noble. That's very noble. I remember hearing someone speak a while ago. It's been many years, so forgive me for not being able to attribute it to the person who said it. But I remember that the person's comment was that basically every family has somebody in that chain that changes the trajectory of the family, that just becomes that person that just goes it was going like this and then they just did this, and that no one that follows that person can ever in the family can ever be the same again because it just changed the trajectory of the family. And so uh and and not just families but neighborhoods,
Friends,
the
yeah,
friends, because all of a sudden they see something um, that they hadn't seen before, and that something very often is a possibility. Because I would tell you, there's probably more people than you will ever know, Leon. And I would probably guess it just from some of the comments that I saw when people knew you were going to be on this podcast, that you are actually that person for a lot of people. That they see you and they're like, they know Leon from around the way. And you and I know what round the way means. Not everybody gets that, but you can Google it, folks, if you don't know what round the way means. But they see Leon from around the way and they're like, wow, this cat used to just hang out with us doing X, Y, and Z back in the old neighborhood. And now I'm looking up and he's on a podcast called The Success Paradigm at
hmm
29 years of age, talking about all these companies that he started and all these people that you've employed. I mean, that you're changing the trajectory not only of your family's life, but of the lives of the people that you've hired too.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
blessing. That's the blessing right there.
yeah,
That's the blessing.
it's a very serious, um, I once described it. Someone asked me, what's it like to have employees? This has been a relatively new thing for me. I've been more of a lone wolf most of my career, so I've done the employee thing more lately.
Mm,
And it's a completely different thing. Uh, uh, but I describe it as it's a burden, but it's a
mm,
noble burden, because what you're doing and what you're making available for people. If you have employees that have families, they're shopping for groceries and they're picking what they are going to eat for dinner because of what you make possible for them because they're your employees, and how awesome that responsibility is, but how it's also very weighty.
yeah, yeah,
You have employees that are, we're going into Christmas and they are deciding what they want for Christmas, and they're going to be able to get things for Christmas for their family that they might not be able to get, except that they um, were fortunate enough to be able to have crossed your path. So my hat's off to you on that. I also will
thank
tell you, I don't know that anyone has ever said what you said a few moments ago about the mentor thing.
you.
Uh, so I would be honored, actually,
All right.
to fill that space. But I would also tell you, because Jay is one of my mentors, and he was kind of leading in with this a few minutes ago. I'm definitely from your grandfather's school of thought, which is I want you to run, but I want you to tell me where you're running to. Um,
Yeah.
and so you're in my cell phone. I'm in yours.
Yep.
So challenge accepted. Honor accepted. I think it would be awesome because, quite frankly, I think there's a lot I could learn from you as well.
Oh,
So
man, I
so
appreciate it. I
so we
definitely
so
appreciate
we
it.
just started something. I don't know that this has ever happened in the middle of one of our podcasts, but it has happened today. So we are broken new ground here on the success paradigm.
Let's do it.
So I'm looking forward to you because I see so much greatness in you, but I also see, and I know Jay does too, that you know if I had known what you know at 29, where I would be, and I'm not telling you how many more years older than you I am. Jay can do that, but that's his thing. Um, that the sky is really the limit for you. It is really the sky's the limit and beyond. So I'm going to ask you a little different question here.
Mhm.
So, and kind of become one of my favorite questions to ask because my wife paints me in a corner with it every once in a while, and it makes me pause. So
Okay.
I'm guessing that we talked about the fact that you have been a mentor to people, and people ask you questions, and they ask your opinion on how to do things, and what would you do, Leon, if you were in this situation or that situation, and you've given probably a lot of golden advice to people. What advice have you given to other people that probably is the advice that Leon needs to take from Leon from time to time? Like if 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 what is it that you've told other people that you've said to yourself, you know what, I need to listen to what I told him because I'm not even doing that myself right now. I've lost track. I've gotten off track. What advice would that be that Leon listens to from Leon or needs to?
Um, I would say, um, don't get caught up. Excuse me. Don't get caught up too much into work. Spend more time with family. Because I think right now, um, I get caught up so much, and then in my head, I'm like, man, I'm waking up. Even waking up early, it's like, man, there's some 24 hours in a day. That's not enough. And then I get mad on weekends, like, man, people are off work. I can't. Or it's 5 o'clock. I'm like, oh my God. But I would say take balance. Balance. I think that's the best word, balance. I need to work more on balance as far as managing the businesses, keep working, but then also have that time to myself. Um, yeah, balance, man. I think that's what I need to work on that because I work for 2 months straight if it come down to it, and
Well, you
that's not.
love it, and that's the tricky part is that it's not just work. I mean, it actually kind of you do work. You work like people do puzzles. I mean, it's you like the solving, you like the figuring out, and I do too. I know Jay does too. It's for a lot of people that are watching this, and everyone that's an entrepreneur is one of the funniest things I like to talk about is that you even in the middle of the night you're thinking about the business or the businesses so much so that you don't know whether you were awake thinking about them or was I dreaming about them. I can't it because you can't even tell the difference, you
No.
know. And that thing that we put next to our bed sometimes where it's like you have a thought and you're like, I gotta put this somewhere. So you have an iPad or a composition book or something because you're afraid you're going to lose that idea that you had at 2:30 in the morning by the
Yeah.
time you wake up the next day. But because it is such a because you love it so much, it can consume you. And those relationships that you were talking about are really based on your relationship with your success is based on that work, but your relationship with the people in your family is
No,
they just want to hang out with Leon. They don't want to talk to Leon, the guy, that global renovations or global transportation. They just want to talk, what's up, Leon,
yeah. My
just watch.
sister, she
Yeah, go ahead.
my sister, she came by the other day. I was walking out. She was walking. He said, "Hey, let's go get some food." I said, "Hey, I gotta get to the office." She said, "I gotta schedule an appointment just to talk to my brother." I'm like, "It's not like that at all. It's definitely not like that
But or
at
maybe
all."
it is. Or maybe it
Yeah.
is.
But I
So,
think that's balance. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so Leon, I'm gonna um I'm gonna be a business partner with you. Okay, I'm painting you a vision right now. You're gonna bring me in. I have some assets. I have money, and I'm gonna be a business partner with you. And there's three things that you're gonna tell me that are the most important things to you to have a successful relationship and business partnership. Three attributes you need from a business partner. What are
Hmm. Your morals, your morals type of person you are. Because I mean, you can any a lot of people got money, but if we going into a deal together, we're gonna sit down a couple times. I want to feel that person out. It's not about just making money. It's about understanding. So morals, the knowledge that that person has on that investment, because I don't want them to carry all the burden on me, unless we working out something where the percentages accommodate. And then other than that, um, also where the funds, it's a bunch of things, but where the funds are coming from. We don't need mattress money or anything like that. And I had people come to me as like, yeah, I want to invest.
no? So
Like,
yeah, that's what I want you to think about. Because a partnership is like a marriage.
yeah, oh yeah, oh
So
yeah.
when you get married, you want to make sure you know you got a
The
knowledge,
legal,
right?
the legal docs and everything like that.
No, no, I'm just saying, like, if you and I are sitting down and you're like, listen, these are the three most important things for our partnership to be a success. What are they? Like, if I ask you, Leon, what's the three most important things to you for our relationship to be successful and our partnership to be successful? And you said, I have to have high morals, integrity, right?
Yeah, Homer's integrity.
I have to have knowledge on whatever we do because it needs to be, 100 in, right? It's not going to be me carrying everything or you carrying everything. And then what's the other thing?
I would say your ability to puzzle piece,
To puzzle piece, you said?
puzzle piece,
Okay,
to
puzzle.
puzzle piece,
What do you
puzzle piece,
mean? What do you mean?
puzzle piecing. As far as handling the pressure that's going to come after that investment, because some people get real discouraged and break down a lot of the morale in an investment. You can have people that got good morals, they got money, got a good attorney as far as the partnership agreement, everything like that. But if things start going south a little bit, then their whole energy goes south, and they start giving up. And so then they all of a sudden forget the ability to puzzle piece. So if this is not working out, it's another way to figure out to make it work.
So they got
That's what I'm saying.
they have staying power. They have the ability to overcome obstacles and
Yeah, of course.
keep their head in the game.
Yep. That's what I would say.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. My boy, shout out to Freedom, man. You got to talk to Freedom. That's my partner, man.
I'm
We
I'm
actually
looking.
we're writing a book. We're getting a book together. It's called The Art of Puzzle Piecing. Because I think that's a big thing, especially with even with clients that wants to buy houses. They get frustrated once they get into the process once they're under contract, and so the lender might give them information. They're like, "Oh, this is too much," but nah, we're gonna find a way to get past it. It's all about puzzle piecing. It's not too many things that we're not gonna be able to get past, especially if it's small. Just got to keep that good faith and stay with the process.
Right. Stay with the process. And there is a way. It may not be the way we started, but it will be the way we are. You know, Jay, it's really funny, and I say funny kind of tongue in cheek because we have been talking to so many people the last few weeks and last few months about the glory and the story and the difficulty, and it's I don't know, it almost feels a little divine that this podcast has taken off in the middle of one of the most tumultuous times in our country's history, whether it's COVID or the economy or cultural upheavals, all of these things. And so this has been a time where even the most successful people have been probably tested more than they had ever been tested before, because you mentioned earlier about all those things that come flying in. Well, some really big things have been flying in here lately, that are completely out of your control, you know. Um, and so when it comes to dealing with the unforeseen or unanticipated things, there's some things after you've done it for a while, you're like, look out, I know I could, I can smell a problem over here because I've smelled that problem before. I can see this one coming. I heard what he said in that meeting. He might not be the guy. Could you get hints, based on
Oh
your
yeah.
experience? But when things come out of the blue, like they have come out of the blue, and they impact your business, how do you deal with it? How do you respond to it? When COVID hit, for example, um, I don't know anybody's business that was not impacted in some shape, form, or
Oh yeah,
fashion.
for sure.
How did you find an opportunity in the middle of something that was big? I mean, what in your head said, because what we're finding is with successful people, I guess I should have set that up a little bit better. What we're finding is from the people that we're getting a chance to interview on the podcast is almost everybody goes to their knees for a couple of seconds. It's like, that was a gut punch. Did not see that
Mhm.
coming. Major contract fell through. Person that I was going to be, that I had my eyes on to move a lot of their freight collapsed. And so they're no longer, these kind of things that you can't anticipate. But what we're finding is that people who are really successful, they go to their knees, but they don't stay on their knees. Now, maybe to pray, but then they get up more quickly.
Mhm.
So, has that been the case for you, and how has it been the case for you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, at that point, we just had to go back to the drawing board because I think before COVID, everything it was so everybody was comfortable, and so at that point, everybody was moving freely, and so I think at that point, say if you got 7 ways to sell a house, you got to go start eliminating whatever COVID eliminated, and what's left is what you go back to. Virtual showings, as far as with the renovation company, I mean, we kept moving strong. I still had my investment, was still closing. It was closing a little slower, but we were still getting it closed, getting those contractors in there. But it was only a certain amount of contractors. So even if I'm used to getting a job done in say 30 days, if it takes 45 days or 60 days due to how many people we can have in that room, then we just got to keep moving. And just going back to the drawing board, I started off with only 2 contractors. So if I only got to have 2 contractors in there now, that's what I do to keep that business moving. And same with the being in real estate as far as being a realtor. We went back to the virtual showings. We went back to going in there, taking pictures. If it's no pictures on MLS, recording. I mean, just straight back to the drawing board. There's no reason to ever stop. I mean, the only reason we won't stop is if they say we can't go. But when they put that title as an essential business, it's time to work. It's time to work.
It's like it.
Well, Leon, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna ask you a couple ending questions that we always ask. One, I just really quick. You know, I like talking to avid readers because I like to find out what their system is to digest books. So,
Mhm.
is it something you do every day? What's your process for taking in knowledge? You read a certain amount of pages, a certain amount of time every day. Like, what's your process for digesting books?
With each chapter, what I do is I might read that chapter twice, and then I take side notes. Like if you look at any of my books, sometimes it might be like scribbles through there. I might underline something, I highlight something, but I take out key things that mean something to me, and then I can refer back to that chapter.
Okay.
And so I'll go back to that and I try to apply that to my life or apply it to something that I can use for use.
And is it
Anything with business, family.
you read every day? Like, do you read in the morning, afternoon, night when you go to bed? Like, when do you read?
During the day, probably every other day.
Okay.
Every other day. Right now, I'm just finished up the Energy Bus. You guys should check that out. Energy Buses.
It's a good book. That's a really
Yeah,
good.
you read the book?
Yeah, of course, man. That's great.
The Energy Bus is a
I,
good one.
I need to read that one. I've not seen the Energy
It's
Bus.
a very easy read. It's like 90 pages.
Yeah. Send me once we get off of here, man. Send me your address. I'll Amazon that thing over to you. You can check it out.
What's your three most recommended books? The three favorite books that you like that's helped you?
I would say the Energy Bus. No, I got four. Really, I got a bunch of books, man. But I would say this book, The Way of a Superior Man.
Yep.
I highly recommend that one. The Law of Attraction, The 48 Laws of Power, The Energy Bus.
What,
Like
what were the two before that? The law you said?
the Law of Attraction and the 48 Laws of Power. And then it's another book called Critical Thinking. It's a bunch. It's a bunch. It's a bunch of books.
You are an avid reader.
It's a bunch. So it's some books. Growing up, I never really read books like that, only in school. But I think once you get to a point in life where you can actually apply it, and you're not just reading like fiction and stuff like that. Because I'm into fiction and stuff like that, vampires and all that type of stuff. But once you get into a book, you get lost in that book. And once you get lost in that book, then you can actually tap into your imagination. And with the imagination creates the ability to think and then blast them 8.6 billion neutrons in the brain.
It's a lot. It's a lot. We're a very untapped species.
Oh yeah.
Like you said, your friends, my friends, a lot of people that we connect with. That's the mentality, right? What you doing? Nothing. What you up to? Just chilling. That's a lot of my friends. And I, if I'm chilling, I'm reading. I'm putting something in my brain. And I watch very little television, and it's usually in bed with my wife at night right before we go to sleep. Just take our mind off and just to relax. But it's definitely a different mindset. You got a different gear. And I will say, the hardest part of success is for you, I, and Greg is dealing with people that don't understand our gear. And really, the hardest part is dealing with people that we don't understand their gear. You need to get out of neutral.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think we just gotta keep pushing. I mean, we can't give up on nobody. I think.
Yep.
Just keep pushing that information, and they'll get it sooner or later. I mean, we just can't give up. We are on this planet together.
That's
So
right.
the more information we got that we can push out to better the world, I think that's the biggest thing. Just keep pushing. Because as soon as we stop pushing, then that's what all this crazy stuff start going on like right now. So
That is right. Well, Leon, I really appreciate your time today, man. I know you're busy, got all kinds of things going on. Thanks for taking the time to be here with Greg and I and our
hey,
listeners, man. We really appreciate you.
man, appreciate you guys. Man.
And
Appreciate that.
at this time, man, we're gonna talk about your ingredients for success. I always do a little recap, so you've been seeing me write down
Mm-hmm.
along the way some of your gold takeaways or maybe platinum takeaways. I'll give them. So it starts off with attention to detail.
Definitely.
And belief in yourself is how you're going to have a successful business. Work for ownership. Don't assume it. Take pride in everything you do. This one I actually took from Greg. I don't ever get anything from Greg very often. So I had to write this down. Another level creates another devil. I like that, Greg. That was good.
I
Man.
have to give that out. That Olu Brown in Atlanta is where I
Oh,
got that from.
okay.
So I
That
have to
was
shout
good.
him out. Yeah.
That was good. All right. See, I knew that didn't come from you. Keep positive relationship, energy in everything that you do. Delegate your way to success. Um, if your head is weak, the body is weak. Age is only a number. Don't only look at the end game, look at the start game and the middle game. Patience is a virtue. Grind now, play better later. This is my favorite one that you said. This is my biggest takeaway. Learn, implement, and teach.
Mm-hmm.
Believe, pray, and save. And then get information before you make big moves. Freedom of family and change your family tree is your definition of success.
Yep.
And
100%.
live with balance is the advice that you would give yourself and other people. And just don't get caught up. And what you would want your partner to bring to a partnership is morals, knowledge, and the ability to puzzle piece. Um, always adapt. Don't try to make everyone else adapt. No reason to ever stop. And 5 recommended books, even though I only ask you for 3. Just saying, man.
Overachiever.
The Way of a Superior Man, The Energy Bust, The Law of Attraction, Critical Thinking, and the 48 Laws of Power. And that, my friend, is the ingredients for Leon Brady, the second success. We really, really appreciate your time, brother. Thank you so much, man, for
Hey,
joining.
thank you guys for having me. I really
So Jay,
appreciate
I
it.
got to tell you, as we are signing off, I just want everybody to know that it's really cool for Jay and I to get a chance to talk to young people like yourself that are figuring this thing out. And none of us figured it out totally, but that you're figuring it out. And I'm hoping that all the folks in Texas are looking this guy up because you want to be in Leon Brady the second's. You want to be in the car with him now because a little bit later he might be a little too hard to catch. Um, and I would also say this: you didn't say it outright, Leon, but it's something that comes up with a lot of the people that we talk to, and that is humility. So,
Mhm.
Jay, what I want you to know that happened earlier today is probably 2 hours before the podcast. Leon called me, and I could tell he was driving from one place to the other. And what he said was, I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate getting a chance to be on the podcast. And that humility is a really big deal because you've accomplished a lot, but the excitement that you had about being able to be in this space and talking to so many people who really are looking up to you is something that you should always hold on to, because that's one of the other things that will fall away from successful people. Humility tends to fall away. And, it's not, I'm happy to be there. It's like, I'm supposed to be here. Well, yeah, but I'm guessing your mom's watching this right now, Leon.
There's a
And
bunch of people watching.
yes, and if you lose that humility place, I'm certain that your mother has a move where her hand goes up to the back of your head to remind you where you are. So, Mom, if you're watching, we are very proud of your son. And your friends are watching. We are super proud of your friend and your family member, Leon Brady II. Thank you, man, for being with us and for being such a light for young folks and for some of us who are really old like Jay as well. It's a big deal.
I want to thank you guys for having me. Like I said before, and you guys are setting the standard. I've been tuning in since the beginning, so I highly appreciate it. So you
All
guys are
right.
gonna be, I think, yeah.
All right. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Hey, listen,
All right.
we got our eyes on you, man.
Hey, keep watching
Watching. Okay.
for sure. We're gonna make it happen.
Awesome.
All right, guys.